Hello and welcome. In the quiz today we're going to talk about c-betting in position. So we are having exactly the same hand on the same flop than last week. Let's first talk about the defender range. As many good players, Snowy hates to play out of position, so his range is very tight. Much tighter than he would advise to defend from middle position, as in the first question of the quiz. According to Prefab Advisor, villain should have ace-jack, ace-10 or pocket nines. However, Snowy is advising to c-bet. This is a conflicting result which happens from time to time when using Snowy. I would like to discuss this since many people don't understand, and then we will go back to theory. If Snowy was playing perfect GTO, then he would know his opponent range. This is the point of GTO. You know my strategy, so you know my range, but you're still not able to exploit me. If we know that our opponent range, it's exactly ace-jack, which we split with, pocket nines, which is gonna fold on a c-bet, and ace-10, who had us crushed, then we should not c-bet. But this is not the way Snowy had been built and is approaching GTO. Snowy had been trained playing trillions and trillions hands against bots which are trying to exploit it. So Snowy evaluation here, it's not from the range of the big blinds, but it's from all his experience on those trillion hands with people trying to exploit him. Sometimes playing too tight, sometimes playing too loose, sometimes playing very aggressive, sometimes playing very passive. They tried all the strategies. And on average, we should bet. And I think this makes Snowy a stronger tool. First of all, because it doesn't carry on errors. So if Snowy is wrong in the first place, and this is not the perfect defending range from the small blind, that doesn't mean that he will give us bad advice then on the flop. And secondly, for practical reasons, now we can use Snowy advice against any good players and not only against someone who play pure GTO. Okay, let's go back to theory. Now we are in position. So villain will not be able to flop profitably with a draw. He will not be anymore able to slow play with a set or two pairs, since he doesn't know we're gonna bet on the next streets. Since villain is now out of position, he should be more honest, and that should lead us to c-bet more often. For our overall strategy, we also want to c-bet more. When out of position, sometimes we are checking to be tricky and to slow play, with the plan either to check raise or check call him. This is no more possible. We can't check raise villain anymore with a set, for example, and we don't want to lose a street of value. When we are checking out of position, it's also not to blow pot with a good hand, but not good enough to get multiple streets of value. And this is no more a concern. We can now bet a larger range for sin value as well, since if villain calls on the flop, we will be able to check on a later street without having to face a bet. As a bonus, since we bet more often for value, either with big hand or thin value, we can balance and bet more often as a bluff. Villain will not be able to float and see if we keep on betting on future streets. Since we are betting with a larger range overall, we don't want anymore to bet pot and polarize our range. Half pot is enough. And actually those examples are funny since people were playing exactly in the opposite way for pawn control before Snowie. Why? Because humans are not playing to maximize their wins. We are playing with fears of losing and making mistakes. So in the first situation, we all think, oh, if I check, my hand will be face up, my opponent will barrel me as a bluff and for value as well, and since he will always bet when he has a better hand, I will be in a very difficult situation, so I bet. While in this situation, we are thinking, okay, my hand is strong enough to bluff catch on the turn and the river, but I would hate to face a check raise. In order to avoid facing uncomfortable situations, we are taking the wrong decisions. Since this is already a Cbet, we don't have to play around like we did last time, because it will be even more of a Cbet if villain is sit in a big blind and has a larger range. And if we sit in a later position, we would have a larger range. So compared to a range, relatively, ace-jack will be stronger. And since it's already a value bet from under the gun, it will be more of a value bet in later position. So in position at 6 max with that hand on that flop, in a single raise pot, whatever villain and hero position are, it will always be a continuation bet. And that will be my conclusion. Don't be scared to bet when in position. You have the control of the situation, so you can make the pot bigger, but be very reluctant to blow up the pot when out of position, especially with medium hand who has some equity as showdown, but can stand a lot of heat. Next week, we're gonna stay on the flop strategies and talk about donk betting. So same hand, same flop, but this time hero is no more the pre-flop riser. Would you donk bet or not? Think about it and see you next week for the answer.